And one of the biggest surprises in gaming, Sony has decided to buck the extremely long history trend of showing up to E3 and showing everyone exactly what they have in store for us. Reported by Variety, Sony has decided to skip the 2019 E3 show where the rest of the gaming world goes to celebrate the bright future of gaming. This is the first time Sony has decided not to show up at E3 in the show's 24-year history. This is straight off the heels where Sony canceled their PSX 2018 event, an event that was becoming extremely lackluster to some fans. Even Layden agreed that the event would have been lackluster by saying, now that we have Spider-Man out the door, we're looking down in 2019 to games like Dreams and Days Gone. But we wouldn't have enough to bring people all together in some location in North America to have that event. We don't want to set expectations really high and then not deliver on them. As you notice, all he talks about is Dreams and Days Gone in 2019. Doesn't really mention anything else. Sony is riding extremely high on its record sales for its PlayStation 4 gaming console. But for Sony to not be hosting their annual press conference or show up at all is a bit extreme and a little worrisome for me. This is the biggest gaming event of the year, every single year. Layden also expressed that we have a lot of progress that we're making in our games, but also that there's not much to share at this point for upcoming titles. And the same thing could be said for E3 2019. To me, really brings up a problem with the PlayStation 4 remaining years and the lack of upcoming titles. The timing of this couldn't be more weird because Sony CEO Yoshida said that the next PlayStation was gonna happen. He even put in a little bit of detail talking about that. Of course there's gonna be a next one, and they're working on it right now. And while consoles are traditionally announced at E3, PlayStation 4 wasn't announced at E3. It was brought up at an event in New York. Along with Xbox Ones, it was brought up within their facility of Microsoft. So maybe E3 wasn't for the console, but for the games. So I'm going to be very blunt with you people. Game consoles are facing even tougher competition from all over the place, especially for mobile games, which is generating billions of dollars a year, and PC games within the market. Not to mention the option of game streaming is becoming a more feasible option for gamers to enjoy their games. Microsoft and Google seem to be on the forefront of those with Project xCloud and Project Stream, while Sony seems to be in the back burner, not really taking advantage of the cloud or any of the streaming services that can really expand their market. To me, this is Sony running into problems with revealing games that were nowhere near being ready to reveal. Instead of showing gamers games that might be a little closer to release, Sony has taken the hype mentality and showed games that are years away from releasing. It's a tactic that builds hype and sure can sell your product that we've seen from Sony, but it's not a sustainable market strategy in the long run. Not to mention Sony has struggled with their infrastructure, which is a huge part of becoming attached to an ecosystem. Microsoft has said before that they needed to fix their hardware and their services before they moved forward with first-party titles, which Microsoft has delivered on that promise. Sony, on the other hand, has just concentrated on showing their first-party games with no restructuring of their infrastructure or services that people can enjoy and make the console more appealing. And to tie everything in a bow, you have to see what Sony has been saying. Sony has said before that these next 3 years, they will be hunkering down and trying to get ready for the next generation. Does this mean that they are done concentrating on the current generation of consoles? Or does it mean that Sony is trying to fix some of their shortcomings in the next year so they can stay competitive in the gaming industry come next generation? Because the entrance of Google and the resurgence of Xbox the last 12 months has really showed Sony exactly where they need to do and how they need to stay competitive within the gaming industry for this foreseeable future. But for Sony to cancel 2 huge events really does bring concern on my part. I'm one of the people that just bought a PlayStation 4 Pro. I bought the Spider-Man edition back in September to play all their great exclusives, but now when I look at the machine, I don't have faith in the brand moving forward. Sure, I get to play some great exclusives, but I know I have nothing to look forward to in the future with this console, because even the company providing me the content isn't showing up to the biggest stage of gaming. No matter how you try to spin this, For Sony not to show up to E3 2019 and for them to cancel one of their fans' favorite events really does concern me for the future. Were most of those games shown at E3 2018 next-gen titles or cross-gen titles? And what does this mean for PlayStation 5? Does it launch in 2020 when Sony actually has something to show? I'm not sure what's going on with Sony, but it's really starting to concern me. What are they trying to do? What are they trying to show? How are they keeping their gamers really excited for the future? I see Microsoft buying studios, promising future endeavors. You see games coming out next year. They're going to be at E3. They have more to show. They've explained all this. Yet Sony is canceling events and not showing up to the biggest event in gaming. It really just boggles my mind of what do they really have to show? How prepared are they for the next generation? How prepared are they for Google when they come into gaming inevitably? And what are they doing to combat Microsoft with all these first-party studios they're getting and all their infrastructure they restructured and all the services they are providing? Sony seems to be behind in a lot of things. Sure, they have great exclusives and everyone loves them, but I'm going to be real. I want more from Sony. I don't want just great exclusives. I want power. I want services. I want a reason to stay attached to the ecosystem. Well, everyone, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of my content. But I really want to know what you guys think of this. Does this actually worry you about Sony's future? Is PlayStation done with this generation? Go into the comment section and let's talk about this huge topic, because there's a lot to unravel, and I want to see what everyone else thinks about this. Thanks for watching, everyone, and like always, enjoy your gaming. Later.